Welcome to Simply Liminal. My name is Stacy. This is my daily 2-card reading for Sunday, March 10th, 2024. We are working with the Urban Crow Oracle this week by MJ Cullinane. This was the first deck that I read with when I started doing these readings on this channel. It's not my first Oracle deck, but it is the first deck that I used back in December around the winter solstice that week. And we are approaching the spring equinox now, like about a week, not even, a little over a week, I guess, about 10 days, 10 or 11 days, depending on where you're at in the world. And so I counted back and I realized that I've been posting these readings on my channel for 12 weeks. So this feels like a good week of completions for me. Honestly, I didn't know how things were going to go. I didn't know if I'd have the fortitude to continue, or the energy, or even that I would enjoy it. But I'm loving doing these readings for the collective, and I hope more people will watch them and be a part of understanding how I believe that messages come to us, well, through oracle cards and tarot cards and other forms of divination, but through liminal spaces like dusk and dawn and doorways, gateways, pathways. These are all liminal spaces. Also, the shifting of the seasons are a very liminal space, which we're coming up on the spring equinox, you know, and that's a big shift when the days finally start getting longer than the nights are. I had been kind of thinking about using this deck again once more while we're still kind of in classic shadow season. I consider shadow season in the northern hemisphere where I'm at, from the fall equinox and to the spring equinox, when the nights are longer than the days. That's classic shadow season for me. And then a couple days ago, I started seeing crows. And I seen a couple more today. There was a couple days I didn't see them when the weather was really crappy, and I don't blame them for hunkering down and not being a part of that. But I'm glad I chose this deck for this week. Because I think it has beautiful messages for us. Crows are also very liminal birds. Just look at how gorgeous that is when you kind of lay it out. Like, this is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I love how she designed this deck. It's just like a never-ending liminal space there. So before I start any of these readings, I do want to say that I always open a circle of light and love and protection around myself and the readings, and that is extended to anyone who watches these readings, no matter when that will be, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or next year. I also truly believe that when you watch this reading, there's a message in it for you, whether it's on the day of the timestamp or not. It doesn't matter. Spirit doesn't work with our calendar. Spirit works on its own. But there's something for you in that reading. I truly believe that. And that these messages are general and for the collective. They might not always connect with you every day, though I think there's something in them that will. I found something to connect with really every day of these readings as a viewer, as the collective, not just as the person reading. I also ask my spirit guides to help me be a clear channel and help me understand the energy of the reading. And I look at two things with these readings. I look at the energy, which is the force that's directed to us from the universe, from our environment, whether that's our home environment, our work environment, our general life environment. And then the focus is the intention, effort, or response that we put back into that energy, because we are co-creating with Spirit here. Spirit isn't doing this on its own, and we certainly cannot do this on its own. So Spirit gives us something, and then we have a choice to make in that process. How we react is very important. The choices we make are very important. So let's look at the energy of the day first. And then let us look at our focus card. There we go. So I do want to read something that MJ Cullinane put at the beginning of her guidebook, just as a premise with these cards and with crows in general. She says, "Fly through the veil, knowing you have the support and protection of the world's most mystical bird." And crows are very mystical. They really kind of feel like they're messengers. They're on the edge of something important. When I see crows, I always pay attention. where MJ Cullinane lives out in Seattle, there's crows all over the place. She obviously still pays attention to them because her first tarot deck was the Crow Tarot, and I believe this was her first Oracle deck. But when I see crows, I definitely pay attention because we don't see them a lot here. We're in the Northern Hemisphere. But they just aren't around as much as they are in other places. And so when I see them, I pay attention. And I was seeing them just before I started this week's readings, but this is day 4 of this week. And so I was like, yep, it's time to pull that deck out again. You want to use it while it's still shadow season. So let's go ahead and take a look at the energy we have for the day. We have distraction. Okay. So here we go. This is a boxer dog. From kind of a background, it looks like it could be a cat, but it is definitely a dog here. Checking out this crow above. So we have 2 crows in this picture. One of them is up on the tree branch, cawing and making quite a racket, and it is taking that dog's attention up there. Meanwhile, this other crow, sneaky little bugger that it is, has flown right down and is eating out of that dog food dish. So the energy today is distraction. Now, whether that means that something in the world is going to happen that distracts us from our path, from our plans, or if we are the ones causing the distraction, I don't know. Because, you know, sometimes we can distract things in life for other people, depending on what it is. But this is a day of distraction. So let's look at what she has wrote about this card here. Really like to give credit to the authors of these decks, and they put a lot of effort into not just the artwork or the cards, but in a meaning. And so I think it's very important not to pass that by, which is one of the reasons I read from the guidebooks with every one of these readings, because I think it's important as part of the whole deck's energy. So distraction. One of my favorite stories from The Gifts of the Crow is the one about the crows who work together to distract a dog so they can steal its food. Someone or a situation may be calling you away from what you need to focus on, and as a result, you may end up losing something of value. Where are you turning your attention? Will it prove beneficial or a waste of time and resources? So this looks again like this is distraction that's coming at us to confuse our focus on something that we've been trying to get done, or something that we're working on, or a goal we have. So let's look at the focus and see how we respond to this day. We have resistance. So we have a bird flying into the wind, and it looks like it's windy. It looks like how the weather has been here in Montana for the last couple of days. Just bitter, crappy wind. Which is something I associate with March. As a matter of fact, the energy of March always feels very blustery and windy to me. Anyway, so this bird is in the wind and he is resisting the wind. So our focus is resistance. So here's the deal. What does this mean for us? Like, are we going to resist being part of the distraction that's trying to take us away from our focus? And if so, how are we going to do that? How are we going to resist? Let's look at what she writes here for this card. I gotta get to it. It says here, there may be a strong wind coming your way. However, you do have the ability to find a path with the least resistance. Have you ever seen a crow get thrown by the wind? The birds may get taken off guard, but it finds its balance again. You are the sky. Everything else is just the weather. That is a quote by Pema Chodron. I'm probably saying that wrong, but let me read it again. You are the sky. Everything else is just the weather. So even though I was just talking about the month of March and how I feel like it's so full of energy and blustery, windy, shifty, it's unlike any other month that we have. I wish I could express it better in words how my body and soul feels about the month of March. But it's just a shifty, blustery, windy, full of uncomfortable sometimes energy March. Anyway, so we have resistance here. So we know we're going to face some resistance, but we can find a path through that resistance. So it's up to us. Like the dog is finding its focus distracted by this crow while it's this other crow was eating its food. But it has the opportunity to resist looking at this crow, paying attention to this other one, and chasing it off its food before it's all gone. So we have the idea that even though it's windy, even though there's resistance, we can find a path through the wind. Or if we need to, we can hunker down and wait for it to pass over. But I think this is a day where we just forge ahead. We resist the energy around us, whatever that distraction is. Keep focused, resist the distraction, and you'll come through this day, I think, okay. I'm pretty curious to see what this day has in store for us. I very much am interested to see. So I hope you found this reading helpful or connected with it in some way. I would love to hear what you think about this deck, or if you have experiences or interest in some of MJ Cullinane's other decks, I would love to hear about that. Please like the videos. Please subscribe to the channel so you won't miss notifications. Please share these videos to help my channel grow. All of these things will help my channel grow so I can help continue to spread these messages, because I think that the world is really shifting now, kind of like the month of March. And I think there's going to be a lot of distraction to it, and a lot of resistance maybe to the change, just in a general statement, not even just talking about this day, but this card really seems to fit what's going on. This card pull really seems to fit what's going on in the world right now. I think the world is changing. Things are shifting. We are living through amazing times, but there could be a lot of distraction, and we might want to resist that distraction, or we might just feel tied up in it. But I think that we can find messages in these oracle cards or in tarot cards, if that's your choice, that can help us see a meaning or a path through that and help us come out better for it, to help us grow and become more, which is ultimately the most important thing, you know, that we become more. That's what we're here for. I'm not talking about just our human life, but I'm talking about our soul. Our soul is here to grow. Our soul is here to learn, and our soul is here to expand and become something more. And I think that these messages can help us with that process. So thank you so much. My name is Stacy. Thank you for visiting Simply Liminal with me. Have a wonderful day.